Hi, my name is Filipa. Welcome to my channel Awkward, where I give parents the encouragement, knowledge, tools, and skills to provide their children with mindful sexual education. It is my hope that with the information you get on this channel, you are able to answer your kids' awkward questions about bodies, feelings, sex, and everything in between. Today's topic is 5 reasons children mistake abuse for affection. So the first reason we're going to explore is children don't know what is sexual abuse. So the reason here is, I think parents are very scared of talking about child sexual abuse with their own children. They don't want to make their children scared. It is a very difficult topic. It is a particularly difficult topic for parents who are victims of abuse. So for them to talk to their children about these topics that involve sexuality and then abuse as well are very painful and very difficult. But the point of educating children and giving them a mindful sexual education is not to terrorize them. It is to prepare them for the real world so that they are able to react and defend themselves accordingly. And they know who to turn to in case anything happens. So when you talk to your kid about sexual abuse, what you want to be doing is you want to be explaining what are body safety rules, what are private parts, what is behavior that is public, and what is behavior that is private. And you want to tell them about how nobody can see or touch or show them their private parts, for example. And the expression of sexual abuse is for us adults a very difficult one because we know everything that it entails. But if we start talking to kids from an early age about how certain things are abuse, then it just becomes almost like just an adjective to explain what something is, right? So from an early age, you should be explaining to them that this behavior towards them that is not acceptable, that is beyond, that crosses their physical and emotional boundaries, is abuse. And abuse is something that is not permitted or not allowed. So this is a way of explaining abuse to children. So the second reason, children mistake abuse for affection is because of the grooming process that takes place. So the grooming process is really how abusers seduce, but the better word is how abusers befriend children, right? So they go through this process where they identify what is the greatest need of that child. So the children who don't feel like they get enough attention, or who are neglected, who feel unwanted or unloved, are easier praise for abusers, because what happens is the abuser identifies this and exploits it. They become the mentor that child needs. They become the big brother, the mother, the dad. They're able to identify this need for love and care and exploit it. And we see this so often with adults that it is so easy for us to, or it should be so easy for us to understand that children are even more vulnerable to these tactics, right? So the third reason children mistake abuse for affection is that sexual abuse a lot of the times does not physically hurt. So a lot of abusers will not employ force, and only about 35 to 40% of abusers will leave physical marks on their victims. The reason for this is very simple, is that abusers, they don't want to get caught. That's why a lot of the times abuse is just the word of an adult against the word of a child, or the word of an older child against the word of a younger child, right? So abusers, they want to keep on abusing children. So for this to happen, they can't get caught, and for them to not get caught, they can't leave evidence behind. And hurting children is leaving evidence behind, right? So the fourth reason for children to mistake abuse for affection is that 90% of abuse is actually carried out by somebody that is close to the child and close to the family. And about 60% of child sexual abuse is actually carried out by a family member. So this close proximity of the child and the abuser, where there is an actual relationship and bond of love and affection, like this is a real bond that is then exploited for the sexual gratification of the abuser. So this is when the abuse takes place. But because there's this intertwined bond of love and affection and violence, it is difficult for children to distinguish this and to understand the difference between one and the other, because they are a good thing and a bad thing that are done by the same person, right? And we see this in adult relationships as well, a lot of the time. So, people who are in abusive relationships or toxic relationships, there is this mixing of love and affection and violence and aggression, and it's all together, and it's difficult for us to tease both of them out, right? So for children who do not have the same psychological and mental capacities as adults to differentiate between feelings and right and wrong as well, it is harder for them to make this distinction, and the abuser takes advantage of that. Part of the grooming process will also make the child feel like they wanted the abuse to happen, or that they allowed it. The abuser will also go out of their way to make them feel guilty about it and ashamed, and that they were the ones who initiated, for example, this abuse. But we know that it is always the fault of the abuser and not of the victim. No matter what kind of tactics are employed for this abuse to take place. The fifth reason why children mistake abuse for affection is that abusers will convince the child not only that they wanted the abuse to happen, but that this is a normal part of growing up. So this is, I've heard of people who tell children things like, your parents also do these things and they enjoy them, but they don't want to tell you about them. They don't trust you with this kind of information. They don't think you're old enough to know about these things, but I think you're old enough, and I think you're so mature. I hate it when people say those things. You're so mature. Because this is just a way of manipulating children to feel like they are better, and that they are seen and appreciated differently by this person, right? So this is another way that that abusers will seduce and befriend the child and make them feel special, and then take advantage of this real feeling of affection for the abuser, right? That does not mean that the child enjoys the abuse, or that it is not abuse in some way. No, it is, and it is the fault of the abuser. but these are the reasons why children usually mistake abuse for affection. So I hope this video helped clarify some doubts that you may have had about the subject. If you have any questions, leave them on the comments. So like, share, and subscribe.